It looked like a zoo, to be honest about it, down in the Reds clubhouse tonight. You could hardly turn around for the mass of news media on hand to cover what could be a record-tying and historic event, appropriately enough, on the part of number 14.
Well, finally, I'd like to apologize for not being able to get Tommy Holmes in the booth, and Jim Ferguson done a heck of a job, but I think it's been very interesting to have been able to have Tommy here, but I swear he was as busy as Pete Rose was. Every time you looked up, Tommy Holmes was in a crowd, and well, we just were not able to get him here. But you know, it's Pete is. We keep saying amazing, and that he is, because last night after the ball game in Montreal, he had a group around him and had them all laughing about something, and I don't know what it was, but on the star of the game, of course, I guess I'm. What do you call that? Prejudiced or not prejudiced? What am I trying to say? You know, I'm not stepping on foul lines and things of that nature. Superstitious. And I really didn't want to get into it with Pete, and hopefully we can get into it real deep tonight after the ball game. But he just goes right on. You know, he doesn't appear to feel any pressure, but you have to really think that he does. As Jim Ferguson pointed up, you know, this is a day-by-day thing. It's not like the 3,000 base hits. That could happen anytime. This thing, if you go over 4, it's over, and you have to start it over again. So I look for Pete, just as he has in the past. If something looks good on the first pitch, he'll be wailing at it. You know how he is. He doesn't back off from anything, and hopefully, as we rooted yesterday, for him to get it in the first inning, first time at bat, and we can go on and get the suspense out of the way.
Joe, you know, with Pat Zachry pitching, it really poses an interesting confrontation, because I think anybody who's ever come in contact with Pat knows that apart from the fact that he's pitching against his former club, and I don't care who you are and what the circumstances might be, you always like to do well against the club that traded you away. On top of that, Pat is probably as much a competitor as Pete is.
Very true, and, you know, it's between the two of them, they're not going to give in to anything or anybody, and it should be very interesting to see how Pat works on him. And, of course, Pat likes to keep the ball down, or he has to keep the ball down in order to be successful. And I think really Pete is more of a high ball hitter than he is a low ball hitter. And I'm not saying he'll hit the low ball, but I think the pitches he really handles extremely well are pitches up. And this is something that Zachry, if he's right, you're not going to see too many of. So we might even see Pete bunt early in the ball game. Any way to get on base, you know, you say, well, why would you say it's bunt? Hey, if he thinks it's the opportunity is there and he can do it, and he can get on base and start a rally, he's going to do it. And that's the type of individual he is. He wants to get base hits. He loves to get base hits, and if he can, any way he can do it, he'll do it.
Well, it's interesting that it should come down to one game to tie the record and to do it right here in New York City, because I think it certainly has been a hypo in terms of Met attendance for tonight's ball game, and I think privately the Met front office would like to see Rose tie the record tonight and have a chance to set a new standard in the second game of the series tomorrow night, because they're looking for as much interest in that ball game in terms of their fans to see an historic event as probably anybody else are. And it certainly means a lot to the Mets to get additional folks into the ballpark. They had long lines outside tonight to purchase tickets, and it all is going to make for a very, very interesting evening of baseball here in New York and Shea Stadium. Right now, the New York Mets are on the field, and the singing of our national anthem. From the Metropolitan Opera, Robert Merrill singing our national anthem tonight. This copyrighted broadcast is presented by authority of Cincinnati Reds Incorporated and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the descriptions and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Cincinnati Reds Incorporated is prohibited. The announcers on this broadcast are employed by the Cincinnati Reds Incorporated. Well, as he comes out of the dugout and to the plate, believe it or not, in this ballpark, of all places, they are giving Pete Rose a standing ovation. You harken back to 1973 when he got into that battle with then New York shortstop Bud Harrelson in the 73 playoffs, and the kind of response that Pete has received in this ballpark since that time. And, well, tonight it's a little bit different atmosphere and a little bit more cordial toward this man as they give him a standing ovation before the first pitch of this game is ever thrown. Pat Zachry, a 10-game winner. He's 10-6 on the year as he makes his 21st start, 5 complete games, and an earned run average that stands at .327. Zachry has won a game this season. He has also lost one against the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds beat him the last time the Mets came into New York, or came into Cincinnati, that is. So Zachry not only will be trying to get his 11th win of the year tonight, but also to beat his former club for the second time in 3 decisions. Reds beat him 6-4 on April 30th at Shea, or he defeated Cincinnati on that day, and then the Reds beat him 6-3 on the 14th of July at Riverfront when he gave up 8 hits and 4 runs, 3 of them earned in 6 innings. Zachry trying to break a 3-game losing streak as he faces the Reds in the opening game of the series, and number 14 is stepping in to lead things off. Rose batting .305 with 4 homers and 30 RBIs, a batting streak that started back on the 14th of June, and he tries to tie the National League standard tonight. Here's a pitch from Zachry, and it's in for a called strike, and this game is underway. Rose, Lum, and Morgan here in the top of the first inning. Lenny Randle is playing very shallow on the grass at third. The strike one pitch swung on. Fly ball hit back into center field. Lee Mazzilli drifting back. He's under, and he makes the catch. So with one away on the Rose fly ball to center, that'll bring up right fielder Mike Lum. Ken Griffey getting another night off in terms of starting this ball game. Kenny did not start the game in Montreal yesterday afternoon, but due to the length, he did come in, of course. And Sparky Anderson setting him down again tonight. Probably will have Griffey back in the lineup tomorrow night. Lum batting .288. Zachry delivers, and the pitch is in for a strike. Montanez at first, Flynn at second, Foley at shortstop, and Randle at third base. Henderson in left, Mazzilli in center, Maddox in right, and Stearns behind the plate. That's the Mets defense. As Lum fouls the pitch straight back onto the screen, the count goes to 2 strikes. Reds over 17 games over the 500 mark for the first time this season, with a 5-4 win in 14 at Olympic Stadium yesterday. Here's the 0-2 pitch, and that's a fastball head high to Lum. And it was also a big win in terms of opening up a bit of daylight between the Reds and the third-place Dodgers, who were shut out by Pete Vukovich and the Cardinals 2-0. Swing and a miss. Zachry struck him out. And with 2 quickly out here in the Reds' half of the first inning, Joe Morgan will step in. So the Reds now lead the Dodgers by 1.5 games and trail the front-running Giants by 1.5 ball games. Morgan batting .333 against Mets pitching this season, 10 for 30. He's .258 on the year with 8 homers and 58 runs batted in. Still looking for career home run number 200, Joe is. Zachry to the plate, and Morgan bluffs the bunt, takes the pitch high, ball 1. Outfield shading Morgan around toward right and deep. He takes it high and outside, and Zachry falls behind 2 balls and no strikes. An abbreviated National League schedule with only 3 other games on the card tonight. Atlanta at Philadelphia. They're scoreless in the top of the second. Montreal at Houston, and later on the Cubs will play at L.A. Morgan is looking at a strike on the outside corner, 2-1. It'll be Ray Burris for the Cubs and 10-game winner Doug Rauch for the Dodgers. 2-1 the count on Morgan with 2 out and the base is empty. Joe swings and fouls it back, and Zachry is back even against the Reds second baseman, 2 balls and 2 strikes. George Foster would be up next. Of course, I guess the big story in New York today is the fact that late this afternoon, Billy Martin announced his resignation as manager of the Yankees. Ground ball hit to Flynn. He charges, plays, throws to Montanez, and that's it for Morgan. And that's all for the Reds. 3 up and 3 down. After a half inning of play in the series live lifter in New York, the Reds nothing, and the Mets are coming to bat. Well, the Reds will be back at Riverfront Stadium this Friday night for a big 4-game series with the Philadelphia Phillies. After the Phillies weekend, it's a brief road trip to Atlanta. Then it's back home for a 6-game homestand featuring the Padres and the Braves. Stop by the Reds ticket agency nearest you and purchase your tickets in advance. In Oxford, Ohio, at Jack's Corner Incorporated. In Salina, Ohio, at the Style Shop. In Madison, Indiana, at Rogers Drug Store. And in Connersville, Indiana, at Shuby's. A lot of baseball dignitaries on hand tonight, the most notable of which would be the man who set the record for the Boston Braves 33 years ago, Tommy Holmes, who works in the area of community relations for the New York Mets. As Joe pointed out, Tommy was probably busier than Pete was, if that's possible, before the game, granting all the interviews possible down on the field. And along with Tommy Holmes, it's the commissioner of baseball, Bowie Kuhn, sitting down in the New York Mets club box to the near end of the Mets dugout along the first baseline. Shub Feeney, the National League president. A lot of people on hand to see what could be a most interesting evening. Right now, Paul Moskau concerned about doing a job on this New York Mets club as he seeks to pick up his second victory of the season. Elliott Maddox leading it off, and the first pitch is high a ball to the Mets right fielder. Maddox batting .269 with 2 homers, 1 in Cincinnati. And he's driven in 22 runs. He'll be followed by Tim Foli and Steve Henderson. Here's a 1-0 to the plate. Breaking ball is just high.
81 degrees, 81.
2 balls and no strikes on the right-handed batting Maddox. 81-degree game time temperatures here in New York with low humidity. It was a beautiful day in this city. There's a fastball on the inside corner for a called strike. 2-1 to count on Elliott Maddox. Moskau kicks and fires, and it's low, ball 3. 3-1. Well, Paul needing a strike and not wasting any time as he delivers ball 4 low and inside. So Maddox begins the Mets' first inning with a base on balls, bringing to the plate shortstop Tim Foli. Foley hitting .240, 13 RBIs. He's been up 17 times against Cincinnati pitching with only a couple of hits. Well, right out of the chute, Moskau with a runner on against him as he, of course, will work out of the stretch. Rose playing in on the edge of the grass at third base. And the pitch to Foley is swung on. He fouls it off the right field line, and that's well out of play. This is the second time this season Paul has faced New York. He gave him 8 hits and 4 runs in only 3 1/3 innings on the 15th of this month at Riverfront. Not involved in the decision. Has a career record of a victory against this team. That coming on, well, last year. And, of course, his only win this season coming on the 5th of July over Houston. Started 3 times since then without a decision, but the Reds have won all 3 games. In fact, Cincinnati has won 8 of the 10 no-decision games that Paul has been involved in. 1 ball and 1 strike on Foley. We're in the bottom of the first inning. In case you joined us late, Pete Rose led off with a fly ball to center. Now the pitch-out call for, but nothing going on. And now I think that they want a quick pitch or something. That didn't look exactly right, the way Moskau delivered that ball. And now Sparky Anderson has come out of the dugout as Paul walked off the mound to talk with Pete Rose, and now Anderson, along with catcher Vic Correll, is going to go out and talk to Paul Moskau.
Marty, that's almost a strike with a pitch out, and certainly that's not. And Vic Correll jumping right away, and sometimes this is good for the catcher to get on your pitcher right away, let him know what's going on. And apparently Joe Torre is out talking to Sats Davidson, and I guess we go back to the pickoff move in Philadelphia when Paul stepped back off the pitching rubber and then quickly threw to the plate in a balk call. But Sparky out, I imagine, straightening things out in a hurry.
Say, the amazing thing about Paul sometimes is the fact that he's been playing professionally so long and some of the things that he can do when he's in a ball game. He's behind now on Foley. 2 balls and 1 strike. Torrey has gone back into the dugout. Apparently the count is 1 ball and 1 strike. And now Foley looking down to third base coach Dal Maxwell. Elliott Maddox has drawn a walk. Moskau into the stretch and the pitch. Foley squares the bunt, takes the fastball for a strike as Rose and Driessen charge the lines. 1-2 the count. In the Reds infield, we've got Driessen first, Morgan second, Concepcion at short, and Rose at third. Foster in left field, Henderson in center, Lum in right, and Vic Correll catching. 1-2 pitch. He throws his bat at the ball and just sticks it onto the screen, a foul ball. This is the 7th game between the two clubs this season. The Reds have won 6 of the 9 previous encounters. We'll be back here for an 8:05 start tomorrow night as Craig Swan throws for New York against Tommy Hume, and then Wednesday afternoon to close out the road trip, Mike Lacoste against Nino Espinosa. Throw to first base, but not in time. And now they have called a balk on Moskau, and they will award Elliott Maddox second base. That's what we're talking about. This has been more than a now-and-then problem for Paul Moskau. He's appealing now to second base umpire John Kibler. But they call a balk on him, and Paul appears to be a bit upset, no more so than Pete Rose. I'll tell you, Pete came in, slammed the ball down in his glove, and Pete trying to charge Paul up a little bit, and at the same time maybe getting angry enough to get with it.
Oh, Marty, as both Kibler and Sash Davidson indicated, Paul turning that foot before turning his body, and certainly that's a balk.
So the Mets with a runner in scoring position and a 1-ball, 2-strike count on Tim Foley. Look back at second and onto the plate, and that swung on and popped up. Off the first base foul line, Driessen calls Correll off the ball, and Danny gathers it in. One away, it brings up left fielder Steve Henderson. This reminder for you folks in Forest Park and in Montgomery. Forest Park night is coming up Monday, August 7th when the Reds meet the Braves, and Montgomery night is Thursday, August 24th with the Cardinals. Tell your friends. 1 down, runner at second. Here in the home first inning, Steve Henderson, the New York left fielder, batting .268 with 8 homers and 47 runs batted in. Henderson with 13 hits and 33 times up against the Reds this season. He's hit our pitching pretty well, and Paul starts him off with a good bell-tie fastball for a strike call. On deck, Willie Montanez, who leads his club in runs batted in. Low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike. 2 former teammates going head-to-head against each other right now. Moskau and Henderson, who played together at Indianapolis. Right-handed batter, and the pitch swung on. Ground ball to third. Rose looks Maddox back to second and throws to Driessen in time to retire Henderson. 2 down. Well, here's Montanez, who this season, while hitting only .269, which is a somewhat low batting average for Willie, nevertheless has driven in 64 runs, and he's hit 13 home runs. A couple of doubleheaders in the American League tonight. One first game has been completed. The Seattle Mariners shut out the Toronto Blue Jays 1-0. A 3-hitter for the former Pittsburgh Pirate Rick Honeycutt. Loser Dave LeManchik. 1-0 final. Seattle scoring in the 9th inning to win that game. And at the end of 7.5 at Minnesota, the Twins lead the Boston Red Sox in the first of a twin bill, 5-3. Left-handed batter, Montanez, and the pitch to him is just low and off the plate. Maddox got an inning opening walk, was balked to second. Foley has popped up, and Henderson is grounded out. Montanez is ahead 2 balls into a strike. John Stearns is on deck. Now Pete Rose calling time and pointing in toward the Cincinnati dugout. Now that the count has gone 2-0 on Montanez, they're going to go ahead and give him an intentional walk and bring up the right-handed hitting Stearns. So Montanez being walked intentionally. Paul started out pitching to him, but falling behind 2-0, they now put him on. And the Mets will have him at first and second for catcher John Stearns. Stearns batting .272. He's homered 11 times and has driven in 42 runs. He's there now with Maddox at second and Montanez chatting with first base coach Denny Summers. Outfield will play Stearns straight away and fairly deep. The pitch to him, a curve that dips in for a strike. That's Davidson, our plate umpire, with Joe West at first, John Kibler at second, and Nick Colosi at third. 2 on, 2 out. Stearns swings and fouls it out of here. Hitting off the facing of the second deck, dropping back behind the New York dugout. No balls and 2 strikes. They played good baseball on this road trip, splitting a pair in Philadelphia and then winning 3 in a row up in Montreal. Pitch. Fastball is up. 1 ball, 2 strikes on John Stearns. Waiting in the on-deck circle is center fielder Lee Mazzilli. Stearns a pretty much straight-up batting stance. He swings and fouls it off the end of the bat. This guy, a tough customer, former All-League defensive back at the University of Colorado, received some All-American mention. Of course, he was a man involved in that unbelievable home plate collision with Dave Parker that resulted in a fractured cheekbone for the Pirate right fielder and resulting surgery. Swung on, fly ball at very high in the air to right center field, but Mike Lum is there, and it'll be Henderson who steps in to make the catch and end the inning. So for New York, no runs, no base hits, 2 men left on, and after 1 full inning of play, the Reds nothing and the Mets nothing. Middle third of the Cincinnati batting order as we go to the second inning of play with no score. George Foster, Danny Driessen, Kenny Henderson, and we hope more here against Pat Zachry, who had a very impressive first inning, getting Rose on a fly to center, striking out Lum, and grounding out Joe Morgan to second base. Foster batting .299 as Zachry delivers, and the pitch is up and in for a ball. George with 23 home runs, remaining tied with Greg Luzinski for National League leadership, and his 77 RBIs lead the league by 2 over Giant Jack Clark. Swung on, fly ball, center field, pretty well hit. Mazzilli going back, and now short, now on the warning track, he makes the catch. Foster hitting one to the warning track in center field, just to the left of the 410 marker at the base of the flagpole in straightaway center. Here's Danny Driessen. Danny had a big series in Montreal, hitting a couple of home runs, getting a 3-run homer in the 6th inning yesterday off Steve Rogers. Batting .290. The pitch to him is on the outside corner for a strike. Now he's homered 12 times this season and is third on the club in RBIs with 56. 1 ball, 1 strike to the Reds' first baseman. Swung on and grounded off the third baseline, a foul ball. Minnesota has beaten Boston in the first of their doubleheader up at Bloomington 5-4. Second game underway. Boston scoreless in the top of the first. It'll be an interesting night for the Red Sox and a more interesting night for Milwaukee if they beat Chicago. Foul back is out of play. The Red Sox playing a doubleheader. They lead Milwaukee by 5 games in the American League East. Brewers hot as a firecracker of late. Pitch is below the knees, and Zachry is even against Driessen at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now the look to Stearns for the sign of the pitch. That's ball 3 as it kicks away from John Stearns. You cannot believe the number of news representatives on hand for this series from all over. Three balls and 2 strikes. Driessen trying to get on, and he is on as Zachry misses with a high and away fastball. First base runner for Cincinnati. Here's Kenny Henderson. Kenny batting .236. He's homered 2 times with a big one on this road trip in Philadelphia off Steve Carlson. He's driven in 13 runs while with the Reds. Henderson is hitting .240 with a home run and 9 runs batted in. So Driessen at first with 1 away, and the former Met Henderson takes high a ball. Infield looking for the ground ball with 1 out. Swing and a miss. And the changeup. And Henderson even at a ball and a strike. I'm talking about Billy Martin resigning this afternoon as manager of the Yankees. New York wasted no time in naming a successor, Bob Lemon, fired earlier this season as manager of the White Sox and a former Yankee coach. Driessen running. Henderson swings, line drive, base hit center field. Danny takes a turn. He's going to come on to third base, and the Reds have him on the corners. With Driessen running, Henderson threw his bat at the pitch and hit a loss-off line drive single off the Zachry changeup into center, moving Danny on to third base. So Cincinnati threatening in the second inning as Dave Concepcion stands in. It's going to be interesting to see how Lemon fares with that conglomeration of ball players as opposed to the way things went with Mr. Martin running the show. Davey fouls a pitch away. Of course, you'll not find a nicer guy in the world than Bob Lemon, nor a more conscientious one. Driessen at third, Henderson at first with 1 out. Concepcion, a hard grounder by Flynn into right center field. Here comes Driessen. On his way to third is Kenny Henderson. He goes in standing, and Cincinnati takes a 1-0 lead. Dave Concepcion with a hard ground ball past Doug Flynn, and Davey picks up his 41st RBI. The runner still at first and third was still only 1 away, and here's Vic Correll. Johnny Bench out tonight. He developed some stiffness in his back, and that long one up in Montreal yesterday afternoon, not considered to be anything serious. Vic batting .194 with no homers and no RBIs, and has a chance right here to pick up his first run batted in a Cincinnati uniform with Kenny Henderson down at third base. A walk and back-to-back base hits have produced the second inning run. Davey running. Correll bounces through the box. There's a throw to second. 1. The throw to first. Double play. 1-4 to 3. As Zachry gets out of the inning on Correll's 1 hopper back to the mound. 1 run, 2 hits, 1 left. In the middle of the second at Shea Stadium, the Reds lead the Mets 1-0. Sparky Anderson out talking with plate umpire Satch Davidson before Lee Mazzilli stands in to kick off the home second. Reds lead by a run. Interesting, earlier tonight we had a chance to talk with Seymour Siwoff, who's president of the Elias Sports Bureau. He produced some statistics for us evolving around Rose's bid to tonight tie and tomorrow night break Tommy Holmes' National League consecutive game hitting streak. Pete's chances of tying tonight, 79%. His chances of breaking, 62%. That is to tie and break the record held by Tommy Holmes, and we have the percentages for some other streaks. Here's a pitch to Mazzilli, foul back. Wee Willie Keeler back in 1897 hit in 44 straight games in the National League, but of course Holmes is a recognized modern-day record. For Rose to tie that, 15% chance, and to break it, 11%. Mazzilli swings and hits one to deep right field. Going back is Lum, and we're tied up. Long ball number 11 of the season for Lee Mazzilli as he drives one into the New York Mets bullpen. And the Mets tie it up in the second and a run apiece. Looks like he hit a fastball, and I'll tell you, he hit it good. So we're tied up at 1-1 with Lenny Randle stepping in as Mazzilli homers leading off the New York second. coming, and that's up high. For Rose to tie the Major League 56-game hitting streak record set by Joe DiMaggio, curveball in for a strike, to tie the record, 0.8% chance. The odds 123 to 1. Swung on, and a bad handle fly ball into right center. Lum is under, and Mike loses his cap but makes the catch. And for Pete to break it, the odds 157 to 1 with a 0.6% chance. One gone as Doug Flynn steps to the plate. He got all kinds of facts and figures fed in and brought out of the computer concerning this batting streak by Pete. Trying to pass along most of it, if not all, during the course of the ball game. Doug Flynn grounds it wide of third, charging Concepcion. Davies running throw, good throw, and in plenty of time to get Flynn. 2 out. So Pat Zachry will be the 2-out batter. Pete was hitting .267 when the streak started. The odds that a .267 hitter will start a 37-game streak on a given night are about 75,000 to 1. Of course, that's a little bit misleading because Pete Rose is not a .267 hitter. The fact that that was his batting average at the time the streak started brought about, of course, by the fact that he was batting only .147 over the preceding 10 games. Here's a ground ball knocked down by Moskau, recovers and throws to first base, and that's the inning. For the Mets, 1 run on 1 hit. Mazzilli's 11th. And at the end of 2 innings of play, the Reds and the Mets are locked in at 1 run apiece. As we go to the top of the 3rd inning, Paul Moskau will start it off for Cincinnati. And here to call the play-by-play for you, Joe Nuxall.
Thank you, Marty. Paul has a .227 batting average, a RBI, and has 4 hits and 22 times the plate with a double. The Reds scoring a run in the 2nd on a walk to Driessen, a base hit by Henderson, and another by Dave Concepcion. Dave getting his 41st RBI of the year. Here in the 3rd inning for Cincinnati, it'll be Moskau, Rose, and Mike Lum. Pat Zachry has walked 2. He walked 1, rather. He walked Driessen, as we said. Then he's scoring. Paul Moskau to lead it off. Paul out of the batter's box now. Steps in. Rose on deck, and then Mike Lum. Zach winds and delivers, and Paul picks one high ball. Finally leading Philadelphia 3-0, 4th inning at Philadelphia. Moskau swings and fouls straight back. And the count evens at 1-1. Vic Correll, a 2-run homer in the 3rd inning for Atlanta, his 5th of the year. And the Braves leading 3-0 after 3. Zach going outside for the fastball. 2 balls to strike to Moskau. The Reds and the Mets in their last series of the regular season has strike 2 called. Count evens 2-2. The Reds have won 6 and the Mets 3. Zachry, the 2-2, swung on and fouled straight back. On hold, 2 balls, 2 strikes to Paul Moskau. Zachry checking with his catcher, John Stearns. Has the sign. Now he shakes one off. Now the 2-2 again. That's low and outside. Breaking ball. Full count to Moskau. A wind to payoff. That's ball 4, low and outside. So Pat Zachry walks Paul Moskau leading off here in the 3rd, and that'll bring Pete Rose up for the 2nd time. Pete in the 1st inning, leading off the game, hit a fly ball to Mazzilli in center field. Hit the ball well, but plenty of loft from Mazzilli, an easy play. Pete, a .305 batting average. Pete has had 124 hits this year. He's been up 406 times, now 407 with a 1 time in the game tonight. A Pete at 36 straight, and a hit tonight would give him 37 and tie Tommy Holmes' record set back in 1945. Pitch to Rose. He bluffs the bunt and it's outside and no ball. Zachry the stretch. And the pitch. Rose takes outside. 2 balls, no strikes. And Pete sets Davison to look at the baseball. He does and gives it back to Zachry. Paul Moskau down at first base. Nobody out. Willie Montanez playing a couple of steps behind Moskau. The outfield about straight away to Pete. Play him a little different than they did in Montreal. The pitch taken. That's a strike call. 2-1. Mazzilli shading Pete just a bit toward the left in center field. Zachry the 2-1. Rose swings and lines it foul over the Reds dugout. Count even now at 2-2. On the second inning of Minnesota, the Twins leading the Red Sox in the second game of the doubleheader 1-0. The 2-2 pitch. Rose swings and a bouncer deep and short. Foley will be able to get the force, but throw on to first, not in time, pulls Montanez off the bag. And had Moskau not been on first, Pete might have well beaten that one out. But a force of Moskau, and that goes 6-4. 1 away. Rose now at first base, and the batter, Mike Lum. Mike struck out in the first inning. Mike hitting .288, 4 home runs, 15 RBIs. He's had 3 doubles. Zachry the stretch of the pitch. Lum takes it high ball. Hey, Doug Flynn turns the double play as well as anybody that's ever played this game. He turned one in the first inning. It was almost unbelievable. There's a pitch outside, and it's 2 balls, no strikes. Two and 0 the count. Score tied 1-1. We're in the third. Zachry has the sign. The pitch. Mike swings and fouls straight back. And the count 2 balls, 1 strike to Mike Lum. Rose hit first. Moskau led off the inning by walking. Rose forced. Moskau at second. The stretch. The 2-1. Swung on a very high pop, third base side. Randle crossing into foul territory, and right at the coach's box has it for out number 2. Two away, Joe Morgan, the batter. Joe grounded to Flynn in the first inning. Morgan hitting .258, 8 home runs and 58 RBIs. You know, see the commissioner of baseball sitting down next to the dugout, Willie Kuhn. Morgan takes from Zachry low a ball. Back to the belt, delivered. Morgan checks, hits high, 2 balls, no strike. Zachry 10-6 on the year. This is his 21st start. The stretch. And the 2-0. Morgan swings and a very high pop down the first baseline. Montanez, and he reaches through the stands, and Joe West, the umpire, went down, but that ball looked like it might have been interfered with, but bounced back onto the playing field. So the count 2 balls to strike to Morgan. Two out with Rose at first. 2 ball, 1 strike count to Morgan. Zachry to the stretch. And the 2-1. Morgan swings and lines it to center field. Mazzilli going back and makes the pivot and catches the ball going away from the infield. That's the inning. Reds, no runs, no hits, no errors. A runner left on base, and in the middle of the third, the Reds won, the Mets won. New York in the third inning will send up the top of the order. Elliott Maddox, Tim Foli, and Steve Henderson, rather. Maddox walked leading off the game and moved to second on a box, but was not able to score. Foley, Henderson, and Stearns all went out around the intentional pass to Willie Montanez. Maddox hitting .269, 2 home runs, 22 RBI. Strong wind blowing out the left field here tonight at Shea Stadium. Be more exact, going from the right field foul pole toward the left field foul pole. Paul Moskau has not struck out anyone. He has walked 2 and has committed a balk. A 1 run, a home run by Lee Mazzilli, his 11th of the year. Maddox swings and pops 1 foul off to the right side. That'll settle back into the seat. On 1 to count to Elliott Maddox, leading it off here in the third for New York. Moskau checking with Vic Correll. And the 0-1 pitch. That's just tied. Off-speed pitch, 1-1. Ball back to the plate. Maddox takes, blowing outside. 2 balls to strike. And the 2-1. Curve swung on, line drive, backhanded on the hop by Concepcion. Long throw, got him. Well, I think Elliott Maddox had that one chalked up. A low liner that maybe went on the grass, backhanded on the bounce, came up firing and throws Maddox out easily. One away, Tim Foli, the batter. Tim popped out to Driessen in foul territory in the first inning. Foli hitting .240. Moskau delivers, and Tim swings on a curve. Doesn't get it. The 0-1. Foli swings and a bouncer. Concepcion is short charging. Has it running through. 2 away. Two down, and that'll bring Steve Henderson to the plate. Henderson grounded to Rose in the first inning. Henderson, a .265 batting average, 8 home runs, 47 RBI. Steve and Paul, former teammates at Indianapolis. Moskau works, curve swung on and hits deep to left field, and that one is number 9 for Steve Henderson. And the Mets take a 2-1 lead. So New York with 2 hits, both of them long balls, as they go in front 2-1. Number 9 for Steve Henderson, jumping on looked like a hanging curveball, and headed out of here just to the left of the 358 marker and straight away left field. First home run for Steve Henderson since June the 26th when he hit one in Chicago. All right, here's Willie Montanez. Montanez essentially passed in the first inning. Willie, 13 home runs, 64 RBIs, and a .269 batting average. New York on top 2-1 on Steve Henderson's 9th home run of the year. The fastball is low to Montanez from Moskau, ball 1. All back to the plate with a change. That's outside. 2 balls, no strike. And the 2-0, low and inside. 3 balls, no strikes to Willie Montanez. All starts to wind up. Now Montanez steps away from the plate. Montanez has the green light, but takes it down low, ball 4. Third walk issued by Moskau, the second time that Montanez has walked, and with 2 away, John Stearns the batter. Stearns a fly ball to Henderson in right center field to end the first inning. Stearns 11 home runs, 42 RBIs. He has a .272 batting average. Moskau delivers, and Stearns swings and lines it foul down the right side. Pitch on the way, and that's just low. Ball 1, 1-1. Checking with Dal Maxwell, the third base coach in the Mets. Now a stretch and a throw over to first, and Montanez steps back. Ball again, the stretch. Montanez goes, the pitch is taken, and here's Correll's throw. Not time, and Willie Montanez with a stolen base. For Montanez, that is his 4th stolen base of the year in 6 attempts. Pitch blown outside to Stearns, and the count goes 2 balls, 1 strike. Moskau delivers. Stearns swings in a chopper at Concepcion charging. Has it. Running throw. Got him by a half step. That's the inning, but the Mets take a 1-run lead on the home run off the bat of Steve Henderson. They leave a runner on base, and at the end of 3, New York 2, Cincinnati 1. For the Reds in the 4th inning, they'll send up Foster, Driessen, and Henderson, trailing the Mets 1 by 1, 2-1. George sent Mazzilli to the warning track in the straightaway center field to haul in his fly ball in the 2nd inning. Reds have had 2 hits off Zachry. Has walked 1. Delivers, and Foster takes a strike. Jack back to the plate. Foster looks at it inside. 1-1. George 23 home runs, 77 RBIs, and a .299 batting average. A 1-1 delivery. Swung on and missed. Off-speed pitch. And the ball, 2 strikes to Foster. Danny Driessen on deck. George doing a little groundwork around home plate. Now steps back in. Zachry winds and delivers. Foster checks his swing on a slider just off the plate outside. 2-2. The pitch change, low and outside. Full count. Zachry has walked 2. Driessen in the 2nd inning. Moskau in the 3rd. He's 3-2 with Foster, the payoff. Change is swung on and missed. Good change-up. Zachry has his first strikeout. 1 away, and the batter, Danny Driessen. Dan walked in the 2nd inning with 1 out, moved to 3rd on a base hit by Henderson, and scored on Concepcion's single. That single gives Dave a 10-game hitting streak. First pitch to Driessen outside, a ball. Zachry, a quick worker. Here's the 1-0. Dan swings on a change, doesn't get it. And the count evens 1-1. And Henderson on deck. Zachry back to the plate, outside. 2-1. Zachry has the sign, delivers, and a check swing by Driessen on a fastball. 3 balls, 1 strike now to Danny. Stearns hangs the sign, and the 3-1. Driessen swings on a change, doesn't get it. Boy, he's got a good one tonight. Full count to Driessen. And the payoff. Another fastball, this time high and outside, and Driessen walks for the second time. 3 walks issued by Pat Zachry, and that'll bring Ken Henderson to the plate. Ken fooled on a changeup in the second inning, threw his bat at it and dropped it into center field for a base hit. Driessen moved around to third. Zachry to the belt, checks Driessen and delivers. Henderson takes it inside, and apparently a foul tip. That ball getting John Stearns on the leg, and John down on one knee right now. Henderson checking the swing, leading away from the pitch. The fastball up and in. The ball hitting the bat and getting John Stearns apparently on the right leg. Stearns now up and okay. On 1 to count to Ken Henderson. Driessen leads at first. Zachry the stretch and the pitch. Driessen goes, and the pitch is swung on and popped up. And that might be trouble. Well, coming all the way in. Driessen has to retract. They're going to double him up. They really had Danny decoyed as Henderson came all the way in to about 10 feet behind the infield to catch the very high pop-up, and they had Driessen around second base looking every place for the baseball, and some good decoy work by both Doug Flynn and Tim Foli. Well, winds up a double play, and that's the inning. Reds, no runs, no hits, no errors, no one left on base. Middle of the 4th, New York 2, Cincinnati 1.
Cool it when the sun's up high. Cool it when the sun's down low.
Ah, everyone loves that warm, wonderful summer sun. Kind of makes you think of baseball, swimming, tennis, and air conditioning. That's right. 'Tis the season to be cool. And Crawford Nichols Heating and Cooling wants to cool it for you this summer with Lennox Air Conditioning. Dad knows that air conditioning adds to the value of your home. But more important, it allows the entire family to cool off during these hot, sticky summer months. The Cool It experts at Crawford Nichols work hard to keep you comfortable by offering Central Ohioans 24-hour service 365 days a year. So enjoy the sun and fun that goes with summer, but be cool. For a free home cooling estimate, call Crawford Nichols Heating and Cooling today and say cool it.
Now you can cool it with Crawford Nichols, that's the way.
876-1234.
New York in the 4th inning will send up Mazzilli, Randle, and Flynn. Lee Mazzilli got the Mets on the scoreboard in the 2nd inning with his 11th home run of the year. Getting the ball into the New York bullpen in right field. Mazzilli a switch hitter. Lee hitting left-handed. That was his 7th home run of the year. He's hit 4, of course, right-handed. Really a fine-looking young ball player, to say the least. Good defensive outfielder. Lee hitting .270 with now 11 home runs and 43 RBI. Paul Moskau delivers the first pitch, and Mazzilli takes it outside, ball 1. The 1-0, that's in for a called strike. 1-1 to count. Now they flash it on the scoreboard in right field that Bob Lemon was named the new manager of the New York Yankees. Marty pointing out the fact that Billy Martin resigned tonight in Kansas City, and right now New York leads Kansas City 2-0 after 3 innings. The 1-2 pitch. Mazzilli takes strike 3 call over the outside corner. First strikeout for Moskau. 1 away, and the batter, Lenny Randle. Randle, a fly ball to Mike Lum in right field in the second inning. Waiting on Randle to set in. Lenny, a switch hitter, hitting left-handed, a .220 batting average. He's right-handed, .245, and overall a .228 average. Takes a curve outside ball 1. Moskau back to the plate. Randle checks his swing on a fastball and a strike call. Last year, Randle had quite a year for the Mets, hitting over 300. Good things going this year. The 1-1 pitch and fouled back and into the seats. Out of ball, 2 strikes. Moskau back to the plate. That's inside corner with a fastball. Called strike 3, and back-to-back called third strikes here for Moskau in the 4th inning. 2 away, and Doug Flynn, the batter. Flynn grounded to Concepcion in the 2nd inning. Doug hitting .251, 22 RBI. Takes from Moskau, high ball. Waiting on Flynn to get back in. Moskau now on the pitching rubber and gets the sign from Correll, the 1-0. Swung on, bounced back to Paul. He has it, throwing to Driessen, and for the first time in the game, the Mets are retired in order. Nothing across, and after 4 innings here at Shea Stadium in New York, it's the Mets 2, the Reds 1.
The time is right, the feeling's coming through. Real beer lovers know only one beer will do. Stroh, for the real beer lover. Stroh, tastes like no other. Stroh, for the real beer lover. Everyone knows it's the beer lover's beer. Family food for over 200 years. Real beer lovers say they go out of their way for a Stroh. Stroh, for the real beer lover. Stroh, tastes like no other. Stroh, for the real beer lover. From one beer lover to another Stroh.
The Stroh Brewery Company, Detroit, Michigan.
Okay, Joe.
Well, the total of the 4 innings show the Reds a run, 2 hits, no errors. The Mets, 2 runs, 2 hits, no errors. For Cincinnati, Dave Concepcion will lead it off in the 5th inning against Pat Zachry, and back with the action, Marty Brenneman.
Okay, Joe, thanks very much. Davey, as Joe pointed out, with that run-scoring single back in the 2nd, extended his hitting streak to 10 games in a row. Davey's been batting .400 over the 10-game stretch, and on the year, batting right around .300 after that 2nd inning base hit. That'll be the lower third of the batting order for the Reds. Zachry's had but 1 bad inning. That was the 2nd when Driessen walked. Henderson singled him to 3rd, and Concepcion drilled one by Doug Flynn, but Correll then came up and hit into a double play to end the inning. Davey bunts, 3rd base side. That's going to be a base hit. Zachry's throw not nearly in time at first base. A perfectly placed bunt by Concepcion, forcing Zachry to come off and field it, and they had no chance at all of getting it.
Marty, that was an excellent bunt. I tell you, that bunt right there would have been a good bunt on AstroTurf. Because it had that good kill spin on it, it would not have rolled at all on AstroTurf either. This is an excellent bunt.
So we have our 3rd base hit. That brings up Vic Correll. The Reds now with a would-be tying run on base as Zachry sets on the hill. Long pause, and the pitch to Correll swung on and fouled back. So, barring a double play ball, Pete Rose will be coming back for the 3rd time in this ball game. Pete's still without a hit tonight and 2 shots at Zachry. Must have come up with a couple of double plays, one off of a fly ball in the last inning. Swung on, ground ball, base hit into left field by the glove of shortstop Tim Foli. As Concepcion moves to second, the Reds get their first 2 men out in the inning, and well, Paul Moskau will now be up in a sacrificing situation. This reminder, the final tee night of the season is Friday, August 4th, when the Reds meet the Padres. Young persons through age 19 may purchase $4 reserve seats for only $2. Lenny Randle had gone in to talk with Zachry as Moskau moves to the plate. Paul drew a base on balls in the second. So we've got Concepcion at second base, Correll at first on back-to-back singles. The Reds are run down in the 5th inning. Randle and Montanez charge, and here's the bunt, pop foul behind the plate. Well, the Atlanta Braves, who have been playing pretty good baseball over the last month or so, airing it out in Philadelphia tonight. They lead the Phillies 5-0, knocking Lonborg out early. Warren Brewster now in the game in relief. Look back at second base. The pitch, Moskau squares and bunts foul, and he's behind 2 strikes. Well, Paul failing on the first 2 pitches to do what he was sent up there to do, and that's try to get both runners into scoring position for Pete Rose. Zachry back to the stretch. The look and the pitch, and that's taken for strike 3, and that's all for Moskau. That's a 3rd strikeout for Zachry, and here comes Rose. Pete in the 1st inning to lead the game off, fly to center. In the 3rd inning, following the walk to Moskau, he bounced to shortstop. Foley got a force out at second. I think an interesting sidelight to this confrontation tonight is the fact that Rose had a 10-game hitting streak stopped earlier this season. That's the 2nd longest streak he's had in 1978 and was stopped back in April by Zachry and Lockwood on the 30th of April here at Shea. Throw back to second, not in time to get Concepcion. Two men on, 1 man out. The Mets lead the Reds 2-1 in the 5th inning. Rose waiting on Zachry's first pitch. And now number 14 steps away from the plate as he bangs the dirt out of his spikes and climbs back in. Zachry sights a sign from Stearns. The stretch and the pitch, runners go. Pitcher swung on, fly ball, center field. That's going to be another routine play for Lee Mazzilli. He makes the catch. Davey tags at second. He's going to come on to third base standing up, and there are 2 men out. So Rose 0 for 3 tonight. First pitch hitting, he flies out to Mazzilli in center field. And the 2-out batter will be Mike Lum. Lum is struck out and popped up foul to Lenny Randle. Lum had a big base hit for us at Montreal yesterday, an infield single to shortstop in the 3rd inning to get Concepcion in with a first run. Now Stearns will go out to the mound. Reds got their first 2 men on. Moskau was called out on strikes after bunting the first 2 pitches foul, and Rose is flied out to center field. Meeting breaking up. Reds about hit them 4-2, but the 2 hits that the Mets have had have been home runs, one by Mazzilli in the 2nd and the tiebreaker by Henderson in the 3rd inning. Runners on the corners now with 2 out. And Lum, the pitch is swung on and popped up off first base. Going back is Montanez, and let's see if he'll have a play. No. All about 3 or 4 rows back. He was joined over there in the pursuit of the ball by Doug Flynn. Second game at Minnesota tonight. The Red Sox trail the Twins 1-0, and Boston starting pitcher Mike Torres was ejected from the game for bumping an umpire for disputing a balk call. Well, the ace of the Red Sox staff, at least one of them, along with Dennis Eckersley, thrown out tonight. Pitch it to the plate, and that's a fastball away, 1-1. Milwaukee in the bottom of the second at Chicago, scoreless against the White Sox. Concepcion at third, Correll at first. Lum swings, fly ball, right field, coming in hard, Maddox, and he'll make the catch. Reached down just above his knee to pick that one off. So a red thread in the fifth inning goes by the boards. No runs, 2 hits, 2 men stranded. We're halfway through this Monday night series opener at Shea with a score. Mets 2 and the Reds 1. Pat Zachry will start it off for New York here in the bottom of the fifth inning in a game that has New York out in front 2-1. Zachry swings and fouls it off first and back into the seat. He grounded back to the mound his first time up. American League scores in the fourth inning at Kansas City. Yankees lead 2-0. Oakland trails Detroit 2-1 in the third. Rusty Staub has hit a 2-run home run in that game. California 2-1 over Cleveland in the seventh. 1 ball and 1 strike. And in the second game in Toronto, Seattle leads the Blue Jays 2-0. Check swing and a curve. Ball 2, 2-1. Swung on and grounded by the mound, but there's Concepcion behind second, side-arming to Driessen to get the out. We'll go back to the top of the Mets batting order now for Elliott Maddox. He walked, moved to second on a balk in the first inning, and grounded out to shortstop in the third. Interesting notes on Tommy Holmes, a man who, of course, Pete Rose is trying to overcome and tie his National League record tonight. He started his 37-game batting streak on the 6th of June, which is interesting. 6th of June in 1945, because that was D-Day, the end of World War II, and then he was stopped on the 12th of July. During the streak, he batted .423 and had 66 base hits. During that season, Holmes hit in 127 of 154 ball games. Moskau is up and into Maddox and lost a batting title to a man who is now the New York Mets batting instructor, Phil Cavarretta, on the last day of the season. And I'll tell you, Holmes had quite a year that season. He batted .352, fouled off, and it just missed the on-deck hitter, Foley, but it looked like it got the Mets bat boy in the knee. Looks like he's all right. Foley quickly turns and checks him out. Holmes batted .352 that year, led the league in home runs with 28, and an amazing statistic. The entire season, he struck out only 9 times. And Tommy Holmes, who has probably gotten as much publicity out of what Rose is trying to do than Pete has. Here's a fly ball to center fielder Henderson. He makes a catch. 2 out. Moskau working on a hope for a 1-2-3 inning as he prepares now to deal with Tim Foli. Timmy has popped up and grounded out. Paul, victim of the long ball up to this point, limiting the Mets to 2 hits, both home runs, and trailing 2-1 in the game. Starts Foli out with a breaking pitch below the knee. Swung on, pulled down the left field line. That's going to be a base hit. Moskau getting one up in Foley's eyes, and Timmy wrapping it into left field for a 2-base hit. Well, the inning will continue for Steve Henderson, who cracked a home run to left field, his 9th of the year in the 3rd inning, to give the Mets their current 2-1 lead. I'd like to send along our best tonight to Reds fans listening on WBLG in Lexington, WBTH in Williamson, West Virginia, WMOA in Marietta, Ohio, and WKBV, WRIA in Richmond, Indiana. 2 out, runner at second. First home run that Henderson had hit since the 26th of June, and the first home run he's hit off Cincinnati pitching this season. Here's a pitch to the plate, and it misses away for ball 1. Mets trying to break the Reds' modest 3-game winning streak. Cincinnati has won 10 out of its last 13 games and 11 out of the last 15. Swing and a miss. as Stevie Henderson stirs up the air around home plate. One ball, one strike to the batter. Correll setting up on the outside part of the plate. And Moskau pitches to that area, but misses low with a pitch. 2-1. That one fouled away. Unless the Reds can generate some pretty good offense the remainder of the way, Pete Rose may not come to the plate but one more time. He has flied out to center field twice and hit onto a force play in his 3 times up against Pat Zachry. Ball even against Henderson, 2-2, as he checks and pitches and misses high with a fastball. The string out on Henderson, 3 balls and 2 strikes. With the payoff coming, he struck him out swinging. That's the 4th punch out of the night, make it the 3rd for Moskau, and for the Mets in the 5th inning, no runs with a hit and 1 left. And after 5 full, New York leads Cincinnati 2-1. Joe Morgan will start it off, followed by Foster and Driessen in the 6th inning. Joe 0 for 2 with a ground ball to second and a line out. Hit the ball well in the 3rd inning, but Mazzilli made the play. Reds got their first 2 men aboard in the 5th inning and not able to come away with anything. So still down by a run. Morgan takes ball 1. Swing and a miss. There's that changeup again. Boy, I'll tell you, he's got a dandy. 1 ball and 1 strike. Joe steps away from the plate as Zachry sends in the baseball for the inspection of plate umpire Satch Davidson. Pat seeking his 11th victory of the season and also trying to break a personal 3-game losing streak. Pitched well in this game. Swung on ground ball up the middle. Base hit into center field. So the Reds have their 5th hit. Bringing Foster up. George Fly to the warning track in center, leading off the 2nd and then led off the 4th inning and struck out swinging. Zachry went 3-2 on him and got him with a good changeup. Foster's had some big ball games in this park in terms of the long ball. Morgan a short lead at first. Foster checking his swing on a pitch low and away. Well, the Phillies have gotten on the board, but it's still a 5-1 deficit they're looking at as they bat in the 7th inning. Stretch, the long pause in the pitch. Foster grounds it hard to the left. Foley diving, flips to Flynn, and no play anywhere. Dougie was off the bag. He bobbled as he took the off-balance throw from Tim Foli, and all hands are going to be safe. Now, that should be a base hit, but let's see how they score it. Foley was going down as he fed the ball on to Flynn, and they scored an infield base hit for Foster. Tim made a nice play even getting to the ball. So exactly as we started off the 5th inning, we do here in the 6th, putting our first 2 men on. Dan Driessen has been up 2 times, and both times he's drawn walks and scored the only Reds run in the 2nd inning on the base hit by Concepcion. And Zachry in a bit of trouble again as he comes with an off-speed pitch and stays out of the strike zone high for ball 1. 3rd inning at Houston, Montreal leads the Astros 4-0. Zachry looking around, delivers low inside with a fastball. Good stop by Stearns. Ball 2, 2-0. Once again, Satch Davidson asked for the baseball. Philadelphia with a 5-game winning streak in that series opener against Atlanta tonight. The Phillies try to open a bit of daylight between themselves and the rest of the Eastern Division. They lead the Chicago Cubs by 5 games and Pittsburgh by 6.5. Driessen fouls off the 2-0 delivery. The Reds trying to chop a half game off that Giant lead. 2 balls a strike. Morgan at second, Foster at first. No one out. Randle playing shallow at third for Driessen. Danny swings and drives one into left center field. Stevie Henderson waiting and makes the catch. I'll bring up Kenny Henderson, who has singled and flied to left field after Driessen walked with 1 out in the 4th inning. Henderson hit a high fly ball to shallow left with Driessen running on the pitch, and they decoyed Danny pretty well because by the time he realized where that ball was, it was too late for him to get back to first base, and they double him up. Once again, we've got a meeting behind the mound involving Zachry, Montanez, and Foley. Talking about the Giants, that club and the Dodgers will be at Riverfront for 5 big games in September. San Francisco visits Saturday, September 9th and Sunday, September 10th. And L.A. will be in town September the 26th, 27th, and 28th. That is in the final week of regular season play. Can you imagine what could be on the line in that series? The way this division is going. Now Kenny Henderson swings and fouls it away. Zachry has been tough under pressure tonight, as we saw in the last inning, and trying to do it again 1 inning later. Missing in on Henderson for a ball, 1-1. Davey up next as Zachry sends in the break-even pitch, and that's high. 2 balls and 1 strike. Zachry got a little miffed yesterday with all the hullabaloo over the Reds coming to town and Rose trying to extend that hitting streak against Pat. They were asking him a whole lot of questions after his club, the Mets, had been shut out by Atlanta. There was strike 2 call. Zachry said, you people ought to be more concerned about the fact that Jerry Koosman has been having his problems of late, and the fact that he pitched well yesterday and losing, not worrying about what's coming up tomorrow. 2-2 pitch. Up high as Henderson drops away from the high and tight fastball, and a full count. Well, let's see what the runners are going to be doing now with 1 out. Randle drops back to play a deep third base. Stearns hanging a sign. Henderson steps away from the plate. Now Zachry straddles a pitching rubber. 3 balls and 2 strikes. The count on Ken Henderson. 1 gone in the inning. Runners leading. And the runners break, and the pitch is outside, ball 4. So Cincinnati has loaded them up with 1 out. Zachry has issued his 4th walk. And Dave Concepcion with a perfect night going. He singled in the 2nd and singled a bunt single again in the 5th inning. Montanez out to the mound to talk with his pitcher. Davey now batting .302 with a 2-for-2 night working. Started out the night at .298. Bases loaded. The pitch swung on. Fly ball hit back into right field. Certainly deep enough to get the tie and run Morgan in. Maddox makes the catch. Morgan will score as Foster moves on to third base, and we've got a 2-2 ball game. So Davey, the batting star of this one up to this point for Cincinnati. 2 singles and a sacrifice fly, and he's driven in both Reds runs. Here's Vic Correll. Vic hit into a 1-4-3 double play the first time he came to the plate in the game, and then singled to left field in the 5th inning. Oh, a 2-out hit now would give the Reds a lead. Correll takes it outside. Ball 1. Swung on, bouncing ball, gloved by Randle. He had to leave the ground to play that one, and he throws him out at first base. High chop, and a nice play by Lenny Randle. 1 run, 2 hits, 2 men left on. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th inning, and the score, the Reds 2 and New York 2. Before the game tonight, the Mets make official 1 ball and 1 strike. There were so many people in the Cincinnati clubhouse that somebody posed the question, why can't we get a separate room after the game to interview Pete? And now they're announcing that fact, that a special room has been set aside for a news conference with Rose after the game tonight. 2 balls and 1 strike on Montanez. Moskau pitching and missing. Ball 3. He's had special problems with this guy. Balls and 1 strike on the New York first baseman as the pitch comes plateward, and Willie takes ball 4. So he's walked 3 times in a row. Here's Stearns.
John Stearns.
Slide to center and is grounded to shortstop. Let's see what Joe Torre is going to have John Stearns doing as he picks up the appropriate sign from Dow Maxwell. Rose slowly walking in as Stearns shows no signs at all of bunting, but he takes the first pitch for a strike. Game 2 tomorrow night, Tommy Hume against Craig Swan. There's a throw to first, and Montanez is back. 0-1 pitch, curveball, outside edge, strike 2 call. Well, the White Sox lead Milwaukee in the 4th inning, 1-0. Boston continues to trail the Twins 1-0 in the bottom of the 4th inning in game number 2 after Minnesota won the first game 5-4. No balls and 2 strikes on Stearns, and strike 3 is called. He got him with a curve, and no argument for Mr. Stearns. He knew it. Paul gets his 4th of the night and will now go to work on Lee Mazzilli. Led off the 2nd inning with a home run into the New York Mets bullpen in right field. His 11th of the season. Paul making only 2 mistake pitches in this game. Otherwise, he has pitched extremely well. After Mazzilli homered the next time up, Paul got him looking on strikes. Up high for a ball. All right, we played a bunch of close games this season, I'll tell you. 35 one-run games, of which the Reds have won 24, and the 24-11 record is the best one-run record in Major League Baseball. 2 balls and no strikes. Something that Sparky Anderson is justifiably proud of, because it tells you something about the Reds' bullpen. Infield at double play depth, and Moskau's inability to throw strikes here puts him in a 3-0 hole against Mazzilli. Lenny Randle will be up next. Montanez got a walk to start off the inning. Stearns is struck out, and Mazzilli takes strike 1 off the 3-0 pitch. We're tied at 2 runs apiece in the bottom of the 6th. Runner going. Pitch is swung on and missed. Throw down to second. They've got him hung up, and Correll threw the ball behind, or through Dave Concepcion, and Morgan knocked it down on the edge of the outfield grass. They had Montanez nailed at second. And Vic Correll throwing one short of Concepcion. In fact, they had him by such a wide margin that Montanez had stopped. And Correll could not make the good throw. So Willie gets his second steal. And only his fifth of the season. And now 3-2 the count on Mazzilli. The payoff pitch is swung on and fouled off Correll's mitt. Now the Mets have the go-ahead run in scoring position. And looking to the seventh inning, Rose will be up as the second batter. He is hitless in 3 times in the game. Again, the 3-2 pitch, and he walked him low inside. And 2 walks in the inning give Moskau a total of 5 in the game. Randle 0 for 2. He's flying to right. He struck out on a called third strike in the 4th inning. Larry Shepard, the Reds pitching coach, on his way to the mound. Those bullpens have been very quiet. Those are some good starting pitching, but right now Moskau has created a problem for himself. 2 runners on, 1 man out, meeting breaking up. And we may get some stirring around now in the New York Mets bullpen as we get down toward that 9th spot in the order. Randle trying to get him home with 1 away as Paul pitches, and Lenny swings and hits one into left center. Going back Henderson, and Kenny makes the catch. Henderson started laterally off to his right and then had to drift back quickly as Randle is retired first pitch hitting, bringing up Doug Flynn. And bounced back to the mound and 2 times up. I'll tell you, Dougie came into this game batting .251. Somewhat up from where his batting average was when the Mets were last in Cincinnati. And he's had himself a fine year. Forced to move around from second to short when Foley was hurt. Back to second. Missing below the knees, ball 1. Montanez, the lead runner at second. Lee Mazzilli at first. And the fastball is high. 2 balls and no strikes. Now, should Flynn get on, it will, to some extent, force the hand of Joe Torre. Will he take down Pat Zachry and send up a pinch hitter with 2 down, or will he allow Zach to bat for himself? We'll see. Swung on, hit off the end of the bat. Concepcion charges, gloves, running throw, got him. And that's all for the Mets in the 6th inning. No runs, no hits, and 2 men are stranded. We head to the final 3 innings of action, the Reds 2 and New York 2. Now the 7th inning about to unfold. It'll be a Pete Rose inning. The Reds and the Mets are deadlocked at 2 runs apiece, with Paul Moskau to stand in and start it off. And back with a play, here's Joe.
All right, Marty, Moskau has reached once and 2 times up. He walked in the 3rd inning and was forced to second by Pete Rose, called out on strikes in the 5th trying to bunt. That's a big inning for Pat Zachry. Concepcion led off the inning with a bunt single. Correll singled to left, but Moskau failed in his sacrifice attempt. And, of course, Pete hit a ball to center field that would have given us our 2nd run at the time. Well, Paul Moskau, Pete Rose, and Mike Lum here in the 7th inning for the Reds. The score tied 2-2. Reds have out-hit the Mets 6-3. Zach delivers a fastball, a called strike. Zach Zachry into the wind, the pitch. Curve that swung on and bounced slowly at Foli at short. And the throw on to Montanez, one away. Now here he is again. Pete Rose up for the fourth time in the game. He's 0 for 3. Hit a fly ball to center in the first inning. Hit it into a force out in the third. And in the fifth inning, another fly ball to Brazilian center field. Well, Pete was 36 straight and, well, more or less running out of time. So it should be a good spot to get it. Of course, Pete had one of his big thrills in baseball right here at Shea Stadium, our first trip in, when he hit 3 home runs in one game. He prized a bunt and foul. Lenny Randle playing shallow at third, and going to be tough to get one down that side. Pete mentioning the fact last night after the game, on the start of the game, about the natural turf here at Shea Stadium. But with Randle playing as shallow as he is, that would be very difficult. Zachry delivers, and Rose takes it high and outside, and the count evens 1-1. Back to the plate. Rose swings, and there it is! A base hit to left field, a solid line drive, and he does it. Well, Pete Rose shooting one between Randle and Foli into left field, and he has just tied the all-time National League record at 37. So a big thrill for Pete Rose, and Willie Montanez presents him with a baseball. Pete gives it to Ron Plaza, and he has set or tied the National League record held by Tommy Holmes at 37. Oh, it's over, and let's score some runs now. A standing ovation right here at Shea Stadium, a place that Pete was really roughed up in 1973, but not like that tonight. Every one of the fans here, and now we see a big sign along the left field line that says, "Go Pete, go." And a standing ovation, and, well, what can you say? Now, we cannot see in the Mets dugout, but we can look right into the Cincinnati dugout, and Dave Collins right up on the front step, giving Pete a hand, and they're still on their feet, clapping for him, and we look down and see the commissioner of baseball. He's joined right in, and now Pete tips his hat to the fans, and they really appreciate it. So Pete, a solid line drive to left field, no doubt at all. That ball hit right on the button. So Pete has apparently made about 40,000 new fans here. Well, not all of them. There's some Cincinnati fans, but now they're ready to go. Mike Lum, the batter, Rose at first base, and the score tied 2-2. That's the 7th hit of the game for Cincinnati. Zachry the stretch and the pitch. Lum takes low and inside a ball. Rose out the bag. The stretch by Zachry delivers. Lum looks at it, low and outside. 2 balls, no strikes. The 2-0. Lum lines it into right field, a base hit. Rose to second. He's on his way to third. Maddox throw is not in time, and we got him on the corner. Strong throw by Elliott Maddox, but not in time, so Mike Lum, a line drive single to right. Runners on the corners, 1 out, and Joe Morgan the batter. 8 hits for the Reds. Here comes Rube Walker, the New York pitching coach. Morgan 1 for 3 tonight. He grounded to second in the first inning, a fly ball to center in the third, and led off the 6th with a single and scored on Dave Concepcion's sacrifice fly. Now they announced now that the standing ovation for Pete lasted 3 minutes. Well, a great tribute to a great ball player. Well, now Pete can score the winning run here tonight. This will be just fine. Pete Rose has tied the modern record in the National League at 37 straight, held by Tommy Holmes, and of course, Tommy sitting down to our left. It's on the other side of the press box. Tommy's name's still in the record books. Here's the pitch to Morgan. He takes it outside and high ball. Rose third base. Lum at first. One out. Score tied 2-2. Zachry to the belt. He delivers. Morgan swings. Pops it up. Coming back is Stearns, and he'll not have room as that drops just into the seats to the right of the screen. And even 1-1 to Morgan. Zachry ready. His 1-1 delivery, inside and high, 2 balls to strike. Inning started off with Moskau grounding to Foli at shortstop, then Pete Rose lined a single to left, Lum a single to right, runners at first and third. The pitch low, and it's 3-1. Paul Siebert throwing down in the, or makes that Kevin Coble throwing along with the right-hander down in the Met bullpen. The 3-1 delivery. Morgan swings, fouls without a play to the left side, a full count. The right-hander could be Tom Hosden, Dwight Bernard. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Morgan with Lum at first and Rose at third. Let's see if Mike goes. There he goes, the pitch. Low and inside, ball 4, and we got the bases loaded. That's the 5th walk issued by Pat Zachry tonight. Bases loaded with 1 out. And George Foster, the batter. The attendance tonight, 40,065. 40065. Well, good crowd here at Shea. George Foster to play. George 1 for 3 tonight. He hit a fly ball to center in the 2nd, struck out in the 4th, and infield single in the 6th. Well, base hit here should score a couple of runs. Zachry working from the stretch, delivers. Foster swings and loops it into right field. That'll be a base hit. That'll score Rose easily. Lum will be held up at third, and the bases remain loaded, and the Reds lead it 3-2. Well, Pete Rose scores from third base, and he gets the glad hand down in the Cincinnati dugout. Foster's 78th RBI of the year. The Reds now have 9 hits in the game. And the batter, Danny Driessen. That's going to be it for Zachry as Joe Torre is out of the New York dugout and heading to the mound. And we'll see who he brings in. Kevin Coble, the left-hander throwing in the bullpen. So Zachry leaves, and they're going to bring on the left-hander. So with the bases loaded, a run in, 1 out. The Reds leading at 3-2. We have a break in the action here at Shea Stadium, and we'll be back after this word. Well, the new pitcher on the mound for the Mets is left-hander Kevin Coble. Coble making his 14th appearance of the year. He has started 5 games. He's won 1 and lost 2 with a .225 earned run average. He's worked 43 2/3 innings, allowing 35 hits, striking out 20 and walking 16. He will be facing Danny Driessen, and Dan has walked twice. He's 0 for 1 and scored a run. The Reds taking a 3-2 lead here in the 7th inning. Started off with Moskau grounding out, then Pete Rose hitting in his 37th straight game at a line drive to left field. Mike Lum singled to right, moving Rose around to third, and then Morgan walked to load the bases. Foster looped one into right field to score Pete with the go-ahead run. Reds have out-hit the Mets 9-3. Zachry, all three runners on base, of course, his responsibility now. Junior Kennedy has gone in to run for Morgan at second base. Junior Kennedy at second, running for Joe Morgan. All right, Coble completes his warm-ups, and Dan Driessen steps in. Foster first base, Kennedy second, Lum at third. A run in. Ken Henderson on deck. Coble the stretch. Delivers, and it's taken high by Driessen, a ball. Coble back to the plate. Danny takes ball two outside. 2 balls, no strike. Coble delivers line, shot taken on the bounce by Montanez to home, back to first, and they got him. That ball hit like a shot on one bounce. Montanez coming home. They get Lum, and they nip Driessen back at first base. So a quick double play, and that's the inning. The Reds have won on 3 hits. There were no errors, 2 runners left on base, and it's the middle of the 7th. Cincinnati 3, New York 2. When they have a pinch hitter for the pitcher, Kevin Coble, it's Bruce Beauclair, a left-handed batter, hitting .244, 3 home runs, 14 RBIs. Junior Kennedy now at second base for the Reds. Beauclair swings in the first pitch, pops it into shallow center. Coming on is Henderson, and Ken makes the play. A one away, and Elliott Maddox the batter. Maddox has walked. He's 0 for 2, grounded to short, and a fly ball to Henderson in right center field. Paul Moskau has pitched very well here this evening. Delivers to Maddox, blowing outside a ball. Maddox backs away from the plate. There's certainly a light in the press box here. And just down to our right. And finally they turn it off. 3-2. Reds lead. 0-1 the count to Maddox. He takes a curve. He'll flow. 1-1. The 2-0 pitch. That's the strike. Now 2-1 the count. Fastball at the knees. Ball delivers. Maddox swings and lines it between Driessen and Kennedy in the right field, a base hit. 4th hit of the game for New York. One away, Tim Foli the batter. Foli owns one of the 4 hits, a double his last time up in the 5th inning. He's 1 for 3. Popped out to Driessen in the 1st and grounded to Concepcion in the 3rd. Elliott Maddox at the plate. Moskau to the belt, delivers. And Foli takes a low ball. Ball running down off the mound, and well, we don't know whether he's pulled his shoulder again or what. Attendance tonight, 40,065. Now we have Geronimo loosening up down in the, or Bones, and Tomlin loosening up down in the Cincinnati bullpen. Skip Lockwood throwing in the New York bullpen. And that's going to be it for Paul Moskau. Apparently, Paul pulling his shoulder. Maybe that's stiffening up on him, and he's going to leave the ball game. Well, we'll see who they call on from the Reds bullpen. Bourbon and Tomlin were throwing, and Foley and then Henderson and then Montanez drew up. So it looks like it's going to be Pedro Bourbon to come on here in the 7th inning with 1 out and Maddox at first base. And what Paul's problem is, we cannot say. Other possibly just tightened up, or he might have pulled his shoulder, but you can't see down in the dugout where they might be checking him out. Pedro Bourbon making his way in from the Cincinnati bullpen, and he'll be allowed as much time as necessary to warm up here on the Shea Stadium mound. So again, we have a break in the action with the Reds leading by a score of 3-2, and we'll be back after this word. Pedro Bourbon, the new pitcher for the Reds, and Pedro making his 43rd appearance of the year. He's won 5 and lost 1 with a .394 earned run average. Bourbon in 63 and 2/3 innings has allowed 57 hits, has struck out 20 and walked 13. Pedro with 4 saves, and of course that 4th save coming in yesterday's win over the Montreal Expos in 14. Now look at the scoreboard at Philadelphia. They're in the 9th inning. The Phillies at bat, and Atlanta leading 5-1. Montreal in the 3rd inning. Houston at bat, leading the Expos or the Astros 4-0. Chicago will be at Los Angeles later on. And in the American League, New York in the 7th inning leading Kansas City 2-0. Minnesota in the 2nd game of a doubleheader at Minnesota leading Boston 2-0 in the 6th. Minnesota winning the first game 5-4. Chicago over Milwaukee 2-0. That game in the 6th inning at Chicago. Detroit leading Oakland 4-1. 7th inning at Detroit. And they're in the 11th inning now at Cleveland. The Angels and the Indians tied 2-2. And in the 5th inning at Toronto, Seattle leads Toronto 2-0. Pedro Bourbon allowed as much time as he needs to warm up. Still throwing on the mound here at Shea Stadium. The inning started off with Bruce Beauclair hitting for Coble and hitting a fly ball to Henderson in center field. Then Elliott Maddox singles to right. And one pitch to Tim Foli, and Paul Moskau pulled up lame, and we at this time do not know the extent of his injury. But Pedro Bourbon now ready to work to Tim Foli. Foli 1 for 3 has popped out to Driessen in foul territory, grounded to short, and doubled along the left field line. Reds leading 3-2. Bourbon delivers. The runner goes. The pitch is swung on and pulled down the left field line. Foster on the run. Cannot get to it. It gets fine. And a run will score for sure. Foley on his way to third. Here comes the throw. Not in time. And it's a tie ball game. Tim Foley actually took a step up in the batter's box as Maddox was moving, and it looked like the hit and run, but Tim got out in front of it, pulled it down the left field line. Foster gave it a good try, but the ball got by him, so Foley winds up with a triple. An RBI is 14th of the year, his first triple, and it's a tie ball game with Steve Henderson stepping in. Well, you can close the book now on Paul Moskau. Paul worked 6 in the 3rd innings, allowed 4 hits, struck out 4, walked 5, 3 runs, all of them earned, and committed a balk. The Reds infield will play in with Foley at third base and 1 out. Bourbon works in the windup. He delivers, and Henderson takes the breaking ball low and outside. Outfield straight away to Steve Henderson. Henderson 1 for 3, but that one a home run. He looks at ball 2 outside. 2-0 the count. Henderson hit his 9th home run of the year in the 3rd inning. They drill back to the plate. That's swung on and top foul off to the right and will drop back into the seats. And the count 2-1. Henderson over to the on-deck circle and now heads back to the plate. Waiting on Henderson to settle back in. He's there, and Bourbon has the sign from Correll the pitch. That swung on, grounded to Kennedy, and he looks fully back at third, throws on to Driessen, 2 away. Entering Willie Montanez to the plate. And Sparky Anderson going to the mound, and let's see what he has in mind. And he's going to go to the Reds bullpen again and bring on Dave Tomlin. So Bourbon works 1/3 of an inning, gives up 1 hit. That's the triple to Tim Foli, and Dave Tomlin will come on to face Willie Montanez with 2 out and Foley at third base. For Dave Tomlin, this will be his 42nd appearance of the year. He's won 6 and lost 1, a .352 earned run average. He's worked 46 innings, has allowed 54 hits, struck out 20 and walked 17. Dave with 4 saves. Tomlin jogs in from the Cincinnati bullpen. Looking back on the scoring, the Reds scored first in the 2nd inning after Foster went out, leading off the inning. Driessen walked, moved to third on a base hit to center by Henderson, scored on Dave Concepcion. Base hit to right. Mets tied it up quickly in the 2nd inning as Lee Mazzilli hit one out in the bullpen in right field for his 11th home run of the year. Then the Mets went in front in the 3rd inning when Steve Henderson hit a hanging curveball out for his 9th home run, and the score was 2-1. But the Reds had a couple of golden opportunities. In the 5th inning, Concepcion had a bunt single and Correll a single to left, leading off the inning, but Moskau failed in the bunt attempt, and Rose hit a fly ball to center and Lum a fly ball to right to end that inning. Then in the 6th inning, first 2 reached, Morgan and Foster on base hits, Driessen a fly ball to left, Henderson walked to load the bases, and then Concepcion a sacrifice fly to drive in his 2nd run of the game and the tie game. Then in the 7th inning, after Moskau grounded out, Pete Rose singled to left field, and his 37th straight game to tie Tommy Holmes' National League record. Mike Lum singled to right, moving Pete around to third. Morgan walked to full of bases. Foster dropped a single into center field, but then Dan Driessen, with the bases loaded, 1 out, and a hard shot, 1 bouncer to Willie Montanez at first. Montanez came to the plate to force Lum, and the throw back to Montanez dipped Driessen to end the inning. All right, Tomlin ready. His first pitch to Montanez, swung on and chopped foul. Willie has walked 3 straight times tonight, has stolen 2 bases. Manny Sarmiento throwing in the Cincinnati bullpen. John Stearns on deck. Tomlin the 0-1. Swung on, and that's hit to Kennedy on 1 bounce. On to Driessen, that's the inning. No, the Mets in the inning, they got 1 run on 2 hits. There were no errors, a runner left on base, and at the end of 7. Cincinnati 2-3, New York 3. Now the 7-inning total show the Reds 3 runs, 9 hits, no errors. The Mets 3 runs, 5 hits, no errors. New pitcher on the mound for the Mets here in the 8th inning, and to tell you about him, here's Marty.
Thank you very much, Joe. The new pitcher is right-hander Skip Lockwood. Coming into the 8th inning, a 3-3 ball game. Lockwood with a record of 7 wins and 7 losses. He's a man considered to be the ace out of the New York bullpen. 43 relief appearances and a .328 earned run average. Lockwood has 13 saves. He'll be facing Kenny Henderson, Dave Concepcion, and Vic Correll. Reds score a run in the top of the 7th inning to take a 3-2 lead. The Mets come right back on a 1-out single by Maddox and a triple by Foley to tie it up. But then Bourbon getting Henderson on a ground ball to second. Tomlin called on, and he does the same thing against the left-handed batting Montanez. Kenny Henderson 1 for 2 with a walk. Here's Lockwood with a pitch, and Kenny takes the strike. Henderson watches a pitch go low and inside for a ball. Final score from Philadelphia. Atlanta beats the Phillies 5-1. Buddy J. Solomon the winner. Jim Lonborg the loser. Henderson steps away from the plate as Concepcion moves on deck. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Here's a pitch. Swung on in a bat handle foul back. Oh, we had a 1-run win in Montreal on Saturday afternoon, a 1-run victory in 14 yesterday, and a 3-3 game in the 8th inning of this series opener in New York. Henderson behind 1-2 as Lockwood sights a sign, kicks and fires. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. We'll bring up Davey Concepcion, who's had 2 singles and a sacrifice fly and has driven in 2 runs. Well, the allure of the possibility that has now become a reality, a Pete Rose tying the National League standard for the most games hit safely in a row in, has drawn quite a few folks into the old ball yard tonight. 40,065. 40,065. In the dirt. Ball 1 to David. That's about hit him 9-5. Lockwood sending in the next pitch, and Concepcion with a roundhouse swing that got nothing but air. A ball and a strike. Left bunt, strike 2 call. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, they're adding Pat Zachry and Tommy Holmes into the news conference evolving around Pete Rose after the game. Davey looks at strike 3. Off-speed pitch that just got the outside corner. He has a word for Satch Davidson. So Mr. Lockwood has come on to get back-to-back strikeouts. And now with 2 down and nothing going on is Vic Correll. He has hit into a double play, singled, and grounded out to third. Swing and a foul off Stearns' mitt. I can see how Lockwood has fared against Cincinnati here in 1978. He's made a total of 5 appearances, has won a game and lost a game, has given up 11 hits and 3 runs in 11 relief innings. There's a ball. Reds beat him on the 9th of May at Riverfront 7-6. He gave up a tying home run to Foster in that game in the 8th inning, and then Danny Driessen beat him with a home run in the bottom of the 10th. But beat us in relief in an extra inning game in Cincinnati, 3-2 on the 8th of May. Here's a high chop to short. Foley backs up. He plays. He lets it fly, and the throw took Montanez off the bag. Oh, Correll will be on with 2 away. Timmy had to reach high and off to his right to field the ball, and he looked like he had trouble getting it out of his mitt, hesitating just a moment. He's been charged with an error. So let's see what Sparky Anderson is going to do now. He's pacing up and down in the Cincinnati dugout. Crowd reacting because they see Pete Rose with a bat in his hand, but before Pete hits, Ken Griffey is going to come to the plate and pinch hit. That right there, my friends, is a very tough scoring decision. That goes against Vic Correll. First error of the game, and Griffey will bat for Tomlin. This keeps Kenny's seasonal streak alive. He will now have appeared in every Cincinnati ball game. Hitting .293 with 3 homers and 28 RBIs. He's been up at only 3 times as a pinch hitter this season and has delivered 1 time. So Manny Sarmiento, who was a winning pitcher yesterday and working 3 innings in Montreal, apparently will be the next Cincinnati pitcher to move to the mound because he has started to loosen up. Away in a 3-3 game in the 8th inning. Correll on through the error by Foley at short. Griffey loosening himself up before standing in. Lockwood's ready. And here's the pitch. Griffey takes the strike. Lenny Randle playing in on the grass at third base. Swung on and fouled off, and very quickly Griffey goes behind at 2 strikes. In Houston in the 7th inning, Montreal shutting out the Astros 4-0 behind right-hander Hal Dews. Two out, 1 on, 2 strikes. With Rose on deck. Lockwood sends it in, and Griffey swings and loops it down the left field line. That's going to be a foul ball. Steve Henderson and Lenny Randle, each with a long run, one coming in, one going out, but the ball falling untouched. Second game up in Minnesota, the Boston Red Sox have jumped out in front of the Twins 4-2 after 5.5. And in the top of the 7th at Chicago, White Sox are run up on the Brewers 2-1. Yankees losing to Kansas City 4-2. Detroit 4, Oakland 1 in the 9th. Don Baylor hit a home run in the top of the 11th inning to give California a 4-2 lead over Cleveland, but Cleveland has come back to tie it up, and they're now in the 12th inning in a 4-4 game. Griffey is still trailing on the count, 2 strikes, and the fastball backs him off the plate. More often than not, Skip Lockwood will pitch very well against Cincinnati. Seems to be one of the clubs that he excels against. Griffey holding up on the swing, or did he? Yes, sir. The third base umpire, Nick Colosi, makes the call. Pitch was just down low. Kenny was able to check his swing in time. Two balls, 2 strikes. Swung on and again fouled down the left field foul line and well back into the seats this time. Cubs and the Dodgers ought to be getting underway very shortly out in Los Angeles. Then the Giants having a night off. Holding count, 2 balls, 2 strikes. The check of Correll, the pitch to Griffey, swung on and bounced that one foul at the plate. It came up and hit him and bounced over near the Cincinnati on-deck circle. The breeze we have blowing out toward left field, but really doesn't appear to be enough to be a factor at this point. Kenny swings and hits the fly ball very high again toward left field, and foul ground is Steve Henderson, and he makes the play right up near the wall down the left field line in foul territory. No runs, no hits, 1 error, and 1 left. We'll go to the home 8th inning with a score: Cincinnati 3 and New York 3. Sparky Anderson once again going to his bullpen as Manny Sarmiento becomes our 4th pitcher. Sarmiento with his 41st appearance, his 37th in relief, a record of 8-6, as we mentioned, that number 8 win of the year coming yesterday afternoon, and a .290 earned run average. He'll be facing Stearns, Mazzilli, and Randle. John Stearns 0 for 3, has flied out, grounded out, and struck out. They caught him looking in the 6th inning. Paul Moskau started, went 6 1/3, and pitching very well, giving up 3 runs on 4 base hits. Struck out 4, walked 5, 1 intentional. Bourbon, 1/3 of an inning, allowed a base hit. Tomlin, 1/3 of an inning. Here's Stearns, and here's Sarmiento. Fluffs the bunt as he ran up on the pitch, but took it low. Reds will have the top of the order up in the 9th inning. Bounced over the mound, but fielded by Kennedy, and Junior gets his man at first base. One away for Lee Mazzilli. Kennedy now at second. He came in as a pinch runner for Morgan in the 7th inning. Joe had a leg that was bothering him. Mazzilli has driven in one of the New York runs. He hit a home run into the Mets bullpen in right field in the 2nd inning. Since then has struck out and has drawn a base on balls. Missing outside, ball 1. Low inside, 2 balls and no strikes on Lee Mazzilli. We saw everybody out of the bullpen yesterday. Tomlin, Bear, Sarmiento, Bourbon. And 3 of that foursome working in this game tonight. Call strike, gets the inside edge. Talking about Doug Bear, it was announced today that Doug has been named the National League Player of the Week. He pitched 16 consecutive innings in his last 8 relief appearances, allowing only 6 hits while striking out 15 with 2 wins and 5 saves in the 8 games. Ball 3, 3-1. Doug Bear, the National League Player of the Week. Sarmiento behind 3 balls and 1 strike with 1 down as he delivers, and this one is grounded to second. Kennedy off to his left, took a big bounce, but he plays it and throws him out. 2 away. Now, Stearns and Mazzilli have grounded out to second, making Lenny Randle the 2-out hitter. Interesting, something we failed to point out earlier tonight. Such was the interest evolving around Pete Rose that while not carrying this game on the American Forces Radio Network, they were still cutting in every time on our broadcast when Pete came to the plate to see what he would do. First pitch hitting, Randle grounds out to Driessen, and Sarmiento routinely sets down the Mets in order. At the end of 8 innings of play, Cincinnati and New York tied at 3 runs apiece. Now Pete Rose getting another one of the many ovations he has received over the last couple of weeks as he gets ready to lead off the 9th inning for Cincinnati. Pete with a single to left field in the 7th inning, a line drive base hit to extend his hitting streak to a National League record-tying 37 consecutive games. That base hit, of course, came off starter Pat Zachry, and during the streak for Rose, it was his 57th hit in 155 times up, and during the streak he is now batting and up to date to the at-bat 367. When hitless his first 3 times to the plate tonight, and that means, of course, tomorrow night he will be trying to set the new National League record. Right now he'd like to be able to get on any way possible and maybe begin a 9th inning rally for the Reds to break the tie. Here's Lockwood with a pitch, and Rose lines one into left field. Base hit. First pitch, Pete lines to left field for a single, his 2nd hit of the night. And there's the go-ahead run if we can get him around. Brings up Mike Lum, who following Pete's 7th inning single, lined a single to right. Then Joe Morgan drew a walk, and Foster broke the tie with a base hit to right center, only to see the Mets come back to tie it up in the bottom of the 7th. Randle is looking for a bunt, but Lum swings away and fouls it off the glove of John Stearns. That's now with 10 hits. Pitch swung out, driven to deep right field. Mike Lum hit that ball well, and it's going to be off the wall. Out of here. Two-run home run for Mike Lum. And Cincinnati goes out in front 5-3. Number 5 of the year for Michael, and the Reds lead by 2 runs as Rose waits and gives him the glad hand at home plate. Well, Mike Lum, who's had some mighty big hits for this ball club this season, comes through with still another one.
That was number 5 on an 0-1 pitch.
That brings up Junior Kennedy. He swings and he misses. High and inside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Now we look to the bottom of the 9th where the Mets have scheduled to bat Doug Flynn, Skip Lockwood, and Elliott Maddox. No doubt we'll see a pinch hitter, possibly 2. Lockwood curves him for a taken strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Run.
Strike 3 swinging. Got him with a good fastball. One away with 2 runs across. Here's Foster. He's had 2 singles in 4 trips and drove in his 78th run of the year in the 7th inning. Foster bluffs a bunt. Something you're not going to see happen very often. Pitch is inside. One and 1 to count on Foster. He swings, and this one is a foul back. Well, Lenny Randle will back up a few steps at third base. He had come in a couple of paces after Foster had half-heartedly bluffed a bunt on the first pitch. He grounds one into the hole at shortstop in 5. Tim Foli, 3rd hit in the inning for Cincinnati. Well, the beat goes on for the Reds in the 9th. A single by Rose, a home run to right by Lum. After the Kennedy strikeout, Foster grounds one into left. Bringing up Danny Driessen. He's walked twice, fly to left, and hit into a 3-2-3 double play. Ball 1. Well, stay tuned. We'll have the star of the game show coming up. And scores and comments, and we'll have a tape replay of Rose's National League record-tying 7th inning single.
Tonight's base sale was 18,258. 18258. Base sale tonight.
There's a call strike, 2 and 1 to count. Well, they had a gate sale here at Shea Stadium tonight of 18,258. Give you some idea of the draw this night. Here's a fly ball off the bat handle into center field. Mazzilli is in, waiting. 2 out. Kenny Henderson, the batter, with 2 down, and Foster at first base. Sparky Anderson getting Cesar Geronimo ready out on the bullpen beyond the left field fence. Cesar still being bothered by a muscle pull in his side that kept him pretty much idle of late. Ball 1 to Henderson. In for a strike. Again, a single, fly to left, walked, and struck out. 1 for 3. That's inside corner, strike 2 call. Henderson waiting on Lockwood with Foster leading at first base. And this one is hit into right center field and well hit. On the track is Maddox leaping, and he caught the ball. Elliott Maddox went above the fence to grab that long drive off Kenny Henderson's bat and take a home run away from him. Good play by Maddox. Tough break for Henderson. 2 runs in the inning on 3 hits, and 1 man is left. We go to the bottom of the 9th, leading New York 5-3.
That feeling coming through, real deal of the soul. Only one beer will do. Stroll for the real beer lovers. Stroll, take back no other stroll for the real beer lovers. Everyone knows it's the beer lovers beer. Family fruit for over 200 years. Real beer lovers say they go out of their way for a stroll. Oh, yeah, stroll for the real beer lovers. Stroll, take back no other stroll for the real beer lovers. From one beer lover to another stroll.
The Stroh Brewery Company, Detroit, Michigan.
Reds lead by 2 runs as we come to the bottom of the 9th inning. Ron Hodges, a left-handed batter, will be sent to the plate to pinch hit for Doug Flynn. So we'll be seeing back-to-back pinch hitters for New York. Hodges to hit for Flynn, and I would imagine Ed Cranepool will be the pinch hitter for pitcher Skip Lockwood. Mike Lum's 9th inning 2-run home run fractures a 3-3 tie and puts the Reds within 3 outs of winning their 4th consecutive game and their 5th and 6th tries on this road trip. Got Cesar Geronimo now in center field. The only defensive change for Cincinnati. Sarmiento stands to win his 2nd straight game, or his 2nd game in as many days. After winning yesterday, he can pick up his 9th win tonight. I don't care how you cut it. That's quite a few victories for a relief pitcher. Hodges, who plays a backup role to regular John Stearns, batting .253, no homers, 6 RBIs. Here's Sarmiento with a pitch and popped in the air. Back in shallow left, going out is David, calling for it, and he's there to make the catch. 1 down, and Cranepool will bat for Skip Lockwood. Cranepool will stand in hitting .241. He's homered a couple of times and has driven across 13 runs. Sarmiento has set down 4 batters in a row, getting them out in order in the 8th and retiring Hodges on a first pitch pop-up to shortstop. He misses inside to the left-handed batting Cranepool. That's in at the knees, strike call. New York has had only 5 hits. And 4 of the 5 have been extra bases. 2 home runs, 1 double, and 1 triple. And he sights the sign, wheels and deals. And Cranepool pops it up. Back of third base, and again, it's going to be the Red shortstop near the foul line to gather it in. 2 outs. Well, Elliott Maddox will try and keep him going. Maddox has had 1 of the 5 New York hits and the only hit of the 9 extra base hit variety with a single in the 7th inning. With a walk, he's 1 for 3. Takes a curve down and in. Ball 1. Doug Bear throwing in our bullpen just in the event that Sarmiento fails to nail it down. He throws and Maddox takes ball 2. 2-0. Maddox has hit 2 home runs this season. Tim Foli's on deck. He has not hit any, so he's got a very minor threat for one or either of these two guys to hit the ball out of the park, but Sarmiento now coming inside, and he's behind 3-0. Three balls, no strikes. And that's in for strike one call. 2 out with the bases empty in the ninth inning. A 5-3 Cincinnati lead. New York batting. Maddox back in. Sarmiento in with a 3-1 pitch. And bounced by Rose. Fielded by Concepcion. Here's his throw. And this one belongs to the Reds. Good play by Davey. As New York is retired in order in the bottom of the ninth. The Reds win their 4th consecutive game with a 5-3 win, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Cool it when the sun's up high. Cool it when the sun's down low. When it's too darn hot and you're cooking when you're not. Cool it the Crawford Nichols way.
Yes, everyone's doing it. Cooling it, that is, with Crawford Nichols Heating and Cooling and Lennox Air Conditioning. No need to be hot and bothered over summer's heat and humidity. Lennox Air Conditioning lets the whole clan be relaxed and happy at home. And a wise father knows that central air conditioning adds to the value of his home. And to make sure you stay cool, Crawford Nichols is on the job with emergency service 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Get your free air conditioning estimate today. Just call Crawford Nichols and say, cool it.
Now you can cool it with Crawford Nichols, that's the way.
876-1234.
Well, the Reds continue to roll on this road trip. They've now taken 5 out of 6 games and are 18 over the 500 mark at 58-40 on a Mike Lum two-run ninth inning home run off Skip Lockwood to give the Reds a 5-3 victory. 5 runs, 12 hits, no errors, and 10 men left on for Cincinnati, while the Mets had 3 runs on 5 hits, no errors. They left 7. Sarmiento worked 2 perfect innings to chalk up his 9th win of the year. He's lost 6 times, and Lockwood, the loser, his record now stands at 7-8. Of course, big story tonight, aside from the Reds' win, is the fact that Pete Rose tied Tommy Holmes' National League record by hitting in his 37th consecutive game. He had been retired 3 times in a row before, with 1 out in the 7th inning, lining a clean single to left field, receiving a standing ovation, and then coming back to add a bit of icing on the cake with a leadoff single in the 9th, and Pete was on base when Lum hammered his 5th home run of the season to decide the issue. So tomorrow night it'll be Rose trying to break the record in what has been an amazing season for this 37-year-old going on 18. Tomorrow night it'll be Tommy Hume on the mound for Cincinnati with a record of 4-9, and for the New York Mets it'll be right-hander Craig Swan, who will enter the game with a record of 2-5. We'll be on the air with the pregame shows on most of these same stations beginning at 7:35 Cincinnati time. This copyrighted broadcast is presented by authority of Cincinnati Reds Incorporated and is intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the descriptions and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Cincinnati Reds Incorporated is prohibited. Now on most of these same stations, stay tuned for Joe Nuxall with the star of the game show. And again, the final score tonight, the Reds 5 and the Mets 3.
The Reds on Radio with Marty Brenneman and Joe Nuxall. The 1978 Cincinnati Reds have been brought to you by the Stroh Brewery Company. Stroh's, from one sports lover to another. And by your local Marathon full-service dealers and distributors. By the makers of Red Fox chewing tobacco. With Red Fox, taking it easy never tasted so good.
Also by Grange Mutual, your partners in protection. BJ Industries, new sash distributors for Central Ohio. Crawford Nichols, the heating and cooling experts, and the WRMZ Sports Department.
Follow the Cincinnati Reds and tune in next time for the Reds on Radio on this, the Cincinnati Reds Baseball Network. This This is the voice of the Cincinnati Reds for Central Ohio. Zebra 100, WRMZ, Columbus, Ohio.
For car transportation, we're the greatest in the nation. Our prices are laughingly low. Check their prices, then check our prices. Theirs are high and ours are below. If you're ready for a new one, get a red one or a blue one, because our prices are laughingly low. It's so easy. You'll think that we're crazy. Get the keys, then get to let go. When you buy a used car from Dave Smith Ford, you'll be laughing while you're dealing. At Dave Smith, it's so much fun buying from us, you may want to buy 3 or 4 of our fine used cars. Dave Smith Ford has so many used cars to choose from, you'll have a laughing good time just looking around. See us at Dave Smith Ford, where the used cars are great, the savings are high, and the prices are laughingly low. Come on in, have a good time on us. Dave Smith Ford, 10 minutes east of Columbus. If we can't save you money, we'll buy you 2 steak dinners. Our prices are laughingly low. It's so easy. You'll think that we're crazy. Get the keys, then giggle and go. Dave Smith Ford.
Time now for Star of the Game with Joe Nuxall on FM 100, WRMZ.
We're back in the dugout here at Shea Stadium, where the Reds have beaten the Mets tonight by a score of 5-3, extending their winning streak to 4 straight games. But the big news here at Shea tonight, Pete Rose. And of course, Pete, after going 0 for 3, he hit a fly ball in the first inning of center field, hit into a force out in the 3rd inning, and a fly ball to center again in the 5th. But in the 7th inning, Pete lined a single to left field for his 37th straight game that he has hit in. Tied Tommy Holmes' National League record, and of course, a big night for Pete Rose. And our star of the game tonight, Pete Rose. Pete also another hit in the 9th inning and was on when Mike Lum hit his game-winning homer. And we'll be back with Pete Rose after this word.
It's the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs and the score 2-1. 2 strikes on Phillips. He steps back into the batter's box. Here's the windup, and here's the pitch.
Plan right now. Call Newsash, the window experts, 267-8396. The winter of 78 won't be forgotten easily, and this coming winter is forecast as cruelly cold. Newsash, the original replacement window, features the tilt-in window for easy cleaning. Your Newsash windows will perfectly fit because they're custom-made to stop heat and cold air in its tracks. Thermopane glass adds double insulation. Your monthly fuel bills will be up to 30% lower with Newsash windows protecting and beautifying your home. BJ Industries is your Newsash distributor. Outside Columbus, call Collect 267-8396. You're the winner with Newsash.
Pete Rose, our star of the game tonight. Pete, what can we say, partner? Congratulations. Good job.
Well, thank you very much, Nux. And, we got to talk a little bit about Mike Lum, too, because he had that big home run. He got a base hit to get me a third base when I got my first base hit. And there was a team effort once again tonight, and I was glad to get the base hit the 4th time up to get things rolling, because it seems like now I stimulate everybody when I get a base hit because they're all pulling for me. And I wish I could get it in the first inning every night, because it just seems like every time I get a base hit now, we either score or I drive in a run, and we're playing real well now, 9-3 since the All-Star break. And we think we can catch the Giants and stay ahead of the Dodgers, and we just keep winning.
Pete, your first time up tonight against Pat, hit the ball pretty good to center.
Yeah, he threw me a fastball to start the game. I was just going to look him over, and he threw me a high changeup, and I just didn't pull it. I hit it, maybe 385, 90 feet to straightaway center. It felt good, but I just didn't jerk it. And next time up, I hit one in the hole. He threw Moskau out at second base, and the next time up, the first pitch, I hit the center about the same as the first inning. It was a hit and run, and I got a little mixed up because they tried to pick Davey off. I didn't know if the hit and run was still on, and I waited until Davey broke before I decided to swing instead of just jerking the ball like it's supposed to on the hit and run. And the 4th time up, I fouled a bunt off and got the third baseman as far as he could come in without shaking hands with me, and I hit a nice little solid single to left field off of Zachry changeup. And in the 9th inning off of Lockwood, I hit the ball pretty good too. That was the hardest ball I hit of the night, and it was a fastball up and away and set the stage for Mike's game-winning home run. It's a great home run.
All right, Pete, I guess we can go back to the playoffs here with the Mets and the problems and the fans, and then all of a sudden, after that base hit, 40,000 plus stood up and and give you a standing ovation. What were your feelings?
I can't tell you my feelings there. You know, I just wish I could have shook hands with every one of them because it just was so heartwarming, the hand that they give me, and I didn't expect something like that. Although, you know, I know they're the most knowledgeable fans around, you know, because of so many papers here, and all the games are on TV, and they have so many different teams here, and they really follow the different ball clubs and the seasons guys are having, and it was just tremendous. The hand they gave me was really tremendous. But still, I love the Cincinnati fans, and I would have liked to do it in Cincinnati, but this is the way the schedule works out, and I just hope I can score a couple more runs tomorrow night, and we can stay on the winning trail. That's 4 in a row. We're going to do that a couple of times this year, and we're playing pretty good right now as a team.
We'll be back with more with Pete after this word.
When you want to know the ones you love and the things you love will always be secure. Make friends with tomorrow. Range Insurance, be sure.
Is your stamp or coin collection insured to its full value? How about your antiques, furs, or art treasures? They could have grown greatly in value since the beginning. If lost or stolen, they could never be replaced. But it would help a lot to know you'd get a fair settlement through your Grange Insurance Inland Marine policy. Ask your Grange agent for a quote on whatever you want covered. No obligation. Grange wants to be your partner in protection.
There's nothing like the feeling that you get when you know you're safe now and secure. Protected by Grange Mutual, Grange Insurance, to be sure.
Pete Rose, our star of the game. Pete, you had a big thrill in your career here in the Shea Stadium. The first trip in, 3 home runs. Is this comparable or not?
I don't know how to explain that day. I got 3 home runs and 2 singles after striking out the first time up. But, you know, I think all things taken into consideration, I think I'm pretty proud of this streak now. And, you know, the more I like to go to 40 or I like to go to 38, 39 and take it into Friday night in Cincinnati. But, you know, I'm taking them one game at a time. And I just hope that my teammates don't get too mad at me because, you know, the reporters are all around the locker and I got 13 on one side and 15 on their side, and they're both regulars, and you know, they agitate the hell out of me when those reporters, George don't say hell, though. He says heck, but they agitate me, and I just hope they don't, you know, get too mad because of all the reporters around, because I know what they're going through, and I try to be nice to all the reporters and just hope they bear with the teammates I'm talking about.
Pete, do you feel that since you're there now, do you feel a little more relaxed or not? Or have you felt a little uptight about it?
No, you know, I was glad to get out of Montreal, to be honest with you, Joe. I couldn't see the ball up there. I mean, I didn't talk to anybody who could see the ball good up there, and I was happy. I told Hertz and all the guys, the writers, that I'd be happy if I could get a hit Saturday. I thought I could, you know, tie the record, and I happened to get one, you know, get a man on third in less than 2, and they pulled the infield in. I hit a base hit to right field, and I thought that was a big hit as far as the streak's concerned, because I was a little shaky that day because I never saw that pitcher except one time, and it was tough to see that day, and you know, everything worked out okay, though. And we're winning now, and that's the important thing.
Pete, one further now. Let's go back to the 3,000 hits and compare this, and certainly this has to be more difficult.
Well, 3,000 hits was going to come because I only needed 34 going into the season, and I've been very fortunate to be on an offensive team, and I've been able to hit a little bit and get a lot of base hits. But you need a lot of luck, and you just like over in Philadelphia that night, we put 8 or 9 guys that bat in that 1 inning and get me up there again in the 9th inning, and that turned the whole thing around too. So, you know, I had to thank my teammates too because they give me the at-bats.
Pete, we'll let you go. Congratulations. 38 tomorrow, buddy.
I hope so, Joe. Thank you.
Right. Pete Rose, our star of the game, and of course Pete with a base hit in the 7th inning extended his hitting streak to 37, thus tying Tommy Holmes, who had the modern National League record. That's it from here in the dugout. Now, on most of these same stations, stay tuned for Marty Brenneman with scores and comments. Tomorrow night, the second of this 3-game series of the Mets here at Shea Stadium. Until then, this is the old left-hander rounding third and heading for home. Good night, everyone.